Are you looking up your job description? No.
How did you see that? Dude, my powers of seduction.
Welcome to Tell Me About It. I'm your host, Josiah Smith. This is the show where I interview different professionals to get insight into their daily lives. Everybody has a job, and every job is interesting. And today I have Thomas Johnson, who is I'll let him tell you what he does. So, Thomas, give me a 2-minute elevator pitch for your job and what you do.
Yeah, so hi Josiah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Thanks
you.
for inviting me on.
Anytime.
I am a technical consultant. I specialize in cloud computing. My company helps other companies move all their databases and infrastructure from on-premises over to the cloud. That is the 2-minute elevator pitch.
I like that. Okay. How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing this for 2 years. I've been working in cloud computing for 3 now, just about. My first job in it wasn't a consultant, wasn't helping people move. It was an in-house healthcare organization working for the state of Michigan. So that was kind of cool. That kind of got me in. I was doing that as like an intern apprenticeship. And from there, got some experience, learned some things, got some certifications, and that's how I got into the consulting world.
When you say helping companies move to the cloud, in my head, what I'm picturing is like maybe some old mom and pop business or just a business that's very old that has all of their information on their computer, on the physical computer in the office or at their HQ or whatever, but they want to take the next step in digitization, I suppose. Like, so they started with just like faxing stuff, writing stuff down on paper, then they moved it all onto their computers, and now they want to go the next step and put it all in the cloud. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, so they wouldn't be managing all that infrastructure. Like, let's say they were running everything on a bunch of servers and computers in their warehouse or whatever, wherever they have them. Once you need to upgrade those, or you need to add more, instead of your company needing to go buy all that infrastructure, put it in place, have people dedicated to taking care of it, you could just go to the cloud where all that's managed for you, and you can scale up and down as needed. You don't have to worry about like actually allocating all that infrastructure. So it's definitely helpful for a lot of companies who they have a lot of high demand or they're growing rapidly and they can't manage all that. But there's also some cons. It's very expensive.
Okay. Do they own the servers that are like the cloud servicing actual machines? Do they own those when they hire your company?
You do not.
Okay.
Wait, what do you mean? Like once they're
So
in the cloud?
if they hire you and then they're in the cloud, if they fire your company, do they still have access to their stuff?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So we just help them. So I primarily work with Microsoft Azure. So you can log in, you can create an account in Azure, anyone can make one, and you can start building stuff in the cloud. You can set up databases, you can set up servers, virtual machines. You can set up like Windows virtual machines and you can log into them and use it like a Windows computer. So they'll create like an account essentially, and we can like go into that account. We'll start making everything for them that they need. If it's whatever it is that they need. And then once we exit, we just like remove our credentials so we can't log in and they still have all their stuff.
Okay.
And we're not in the picture anymore,
Okay.
ideally.
Yeah. What's the name of the company that you work for? I should at least get that.
It's called Ahead.
Ahead.
In all caps.
In all caps.
Yeah.
Ahead. Okay. Awesome. So let's back up a little bit before we get deeper into what you're actually doing there. Do you have give me your education background? Do you require a degree to get into this field, or certifications, trainings, whatever?
Yes. You need certifications to get into the cloud. There's tons of cloud certifications. There's kind of a big 3 for the providers. So there's Microsoft Azure, AWS by Amazon, and then Google Cloud. No one really likes Google Cloud. Kind of stinks.
Interesting.
Pretty much there's a big two, but you kind of throw Google Cloud in there.
Sure.
Yeah. Just to be nice, I guess. But they suck. Everyone hates it.
Okay.
I've used it like once. It was terrible. But yeah, each one has their own certifications, and there's a lot of them. There's probably like 10 to 15 for each of them. I'm not really sure about Google, but yeah, you can just get all those certifications. They cost a couple $100 to take the exams. Takes a couple months of studying to get ready for them. And you can get a job just with that if you have some basic coding experience and like computer knowledge. And that's kind of the route I took. I did community college straight out of high school, dropped out of community college like 1 year in because I don't know, I hated it. I wasn't good at school.
Sure.
It was bad. I had like a 2.7 GPA or something, and I was trying to transfer to a 4-year school, and they're like, you need a 3.2 at least. And I was like, yikes.
Not going to happen.
It's pretty far away. It's a lot of B's you got to get.
Yeah.
And some A's.
And
to,
some
like,
A's.
Get it over.
That's the line, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
B,
So-
maybe A, out of the question.
So I dropped out. I was just working in a grocery store. I was like, I'll just do this forever, I guess. And then realized I didn't want to do that forever. So I was like, all right, let's find another way. So did a coding boot camp. It was like a 3-month long program where you learn about computers, learn how to code. They promised you a job.
Okay.
Most people didn't get jobs because
Is this all done online? It's an
Yeah.
online servicer that's like,
Yep.
give us money and we'll get you make you hireable.
Yep, all
Okay.
online. So did that for 3 months. I think it was about 3 months after that I got my first job in that internship, apprenticeship. I don't know if I've talked about that.
No.
Oh, yeah, that was in the mess up take. I started talking about that.
Okay. We'll peek behind the curtain.
Yeah,
This is
production.
the second time we've had this interview today.
They don't know that. Now they do. So yeah, I did the coding boot camp, learned the basics of coding, like JavaScript, Python, some front end stuff.
So it's trade work. I mean, this is like
Yeah.
the same thing as going to trade school in order
Yeah,
to become
essentially.
a whatever electrician.
Mhm. And you can go to
Pipe
college
layer.
for it.
Sure.
But I didn't want to because it was expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been what $20,000-$30,000 to go to a state school.
Yeah.
More for a private school. And it takes a lot of time, like 2-3 years minimum from where I was.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to be in school for 3 years, go into
Yeah.
a bunch of debt, and then maybe get a job.
What is like the top end benefit of more formal education in this field? Is it just basically
You have a lot of companies that recruit from universities,
Okay.
run job fairs from universities. It's definitely more advantageous, if that's how you say that word,
we'll take it? Yeah.
to go to a school. It's better.
Okay.
And you'll have a more rounded out education than just
Yeah.
a college or just a boot camp.
Mhm.
But
But you got hired, so
I got hired, so
yeah.
it is what it is, I
Yeah.
guess.
So we're good to go.
Yeah, but I also did a lot of extra stuff like certifications to help me. It wasn't just the boot camp.
Okay.
If you're like just on the boot camp, you probably won't get a job. You have to be really committed to a path and stick to that path for an extended period of time to actually be good enough to get a job. So that's where a lot of people kind of miss the mark. They'll just say like, oh, I've got this certification that took 3 months, and they'll just apply to hundreds of jobs and no one will want them. It's because they're not actually getting into a niche that they like
Sure.
and building skills and learning new things. They just stop there.
Okay.
And you see that a lot with even some college grads. They'll struggle to get a job right after college because the tech economy is a little shaky. They're not actually going out and learning things and building things. And so it can be difficult. But if you're committed to it, you can easily find a job.
Okay, interesting. And we'll get into some more of that technicality and skills in a minute. when you say that kind of stuff, my only exposure to the cloud is like I have a Google Drive account, and in my head I hear you talk about migrating people's systems to the cloud, and I'm like, oh, I'll right click, upload, pick my files, done. And so there's a little bit of just like, I wonder what the skills are beyond just being able to click and drag, which I'm sure you'll get into. So let's look at then, if you could, let's talk through your setting. So you've given us your company ahead. Talk me through your organizational chart, just maybe like 2 positions above you, 2 positions below you. Just kind of give us an idea of where you're at in the, just org chart of your company.
Well, there are no positions. Cut the camera.
No, that's okay.
I'm just joking. This is great. There are no positions below me.
Okay.
I'm at the bottom, which is great.
Yeah.
You can only go up from
You can
there.
only go up. Can't get worse.
Maybe.
Well, I assume it's a better job than working at a grocery store.
That's true. Okay. You get paid way more.
Yeah, so you're above that. You make a living wage at the bottom of this org chart, which is kind of encouraging, because if you do move up,
it's more than a living.
More than a living.
It can only be more.
Can only be more. Yeah.
So my boss, our structure is a little different. My boss quit about a year and a half ago, so I got assigned a new boss from a different practice than I'm in, and he's a bit higher up in the company, so that's not as typical.
When you say practice, is that like you work on Azure and he works AWS, or is there?
No, so he's actually in data. So there's a data practice, which is data in the cloud, but just fully focused on the data aspect, whereas I'm more of the general consultant, general cloud. I can help a little bit of it with everything. I'm kind of jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's in that data practice. There's also a couple different data tools that are specific to that practice, that they kind of specialize in. But yeah, so my last boss was actually just 1 level above me, or 2 levels above me. He was just a senior consultant in Azure. And I'm just an associate consultant in Azure. So it was kind of that like 1-to-1. Next level is my manager, and then his manager was that next level, like a principal consultant. So
is that mostly just job experience, time on the job, move up? Okay.
Yeah. So typically it's like 0 to 3 years is like the associates, 3 to 5 is like a senior consultant, and then like 5 to 10 is like a principal consultant.
Okay.
And then it gets into management and C-suite, stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of how the org works, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One more question before we get into the more minutia of what you do every day, and talk a little bit about collaboration in your role, working with teams. Is it, how individualistic is your role versus, working with others?
Yeah. So I work a lot with teams. My current project I'm on. So as a consultant, you get put on projects for other companies that come to us for help. So typical team size will be, I don't know, probably about like 3 to 10 people. So I have a pretty big team on my current client. It's actually maybe about 15 people.
Okay.
Only 7 are in the cloud. The rest are those other practices similar to data. There's also security, end user services, EUS. That's to do with like SharePoint and stuff like that, if you're familiar. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So different work streams. Cloud, about 7 people. Typical software engineer, cloud engineer, work style. You'll have like like a daily stand-up. Everyone will sync for like 30 minutes. You'll give your pitch of what you're doing today, what you accomplished yesterday, any blockers, any way other people can help or assist. So that's pretty standard. We'll have a team project meeting every day for about 30 minutes a day, where all the work streams will get together. So that security team, the EUS team, our team, we'll all give general updates to our leadership, who's kind of like overseeing the project as a whole. And then individually, I'll work with kind of like my aspects of the job and the people on the client side who it affects. And other people will work with their unique people on the project, not from our company. So I'll be in constant communication with them, and meet with our team twice a day, 3 times a day, something like that.
So there's a lot of interaction then with
Yeah.
your coworkers.
Yeah.
I'm hearing like 30-minute meeting, 30-minute meeting, 30-minute meeting. I'm like, that's 2 hours a day at least.
A lot of 30-minute meetings.
A lot of 30-minute meetings where you're just, and it makes sense because if you're handling that large of a project for a company that needs you to do everything right across the, the spectrum of categories that you just gave us, it makes sense that you want to make sure everybody's on the same page. And one thing I didn't clarify, is this an office role? Are you there physically with your team, or are you virtual for some or all of it?
So my team, I'm the only person in Arizona on our team.
Okay.
So everyone else is in either Chicago, Atlanta, California. Our clients are global. They're in Europe, India, Canada. So no one's in the same place. No one's in the same time zone. Just really sucks sometimes.
It makes a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I probably don't go into the office too often because there's not a lot of people from my company who go into our office in my practice. So seeing people isn't always the most benefit.
Sure.
Since I don't work with them.
Yeah.
And they can't really help me.
Right.
But they're trying to change that, trying to add more people from each practice. That way you can kind of build that team spirit, if you will.
Yeah.
Lean on people in person, because it is more helpful to talk with people in person. You can kind of collaborate more and get some stuff done. So
yeah, it seems after the initial like COVID wave of moving everything virtual, there seems to be kind of like a pendulum swing back. Yeah, return to office. RTO, the old RTO seems to be.
So almost every company had like a big RTO program in the last like 2 years.
Tech company you're talking
all
about?
Tech companies, because everyone way overhired during COVID.
Sure.
Because everyone was spending a ton of money online and whatnot. So like there was probably like 5 to 10 times the amount of software engineer jobs during COVID than there are now.
Wow.
Like open positions. Everyone was just overhiring like crazy. Economy kind of got a little shaky for a couple of years, and then it was like return to office or resign for like a lot of these big companies, and everyone just started letting people go. Our company, we're a bit smaller, a little more agile. We didn't overhire as much. We did have a small reduction in force, is the nice way to say it.
That's a nice way to say it, yeah. Layoffs.
No.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Reduction in force.
I'll bleep this part.
A riff.
Okay.
Sounds much better.
Different
than
directions
layoffs.
for, yeah. A pivot in staffing. Capacities.
Needs. What were we talking about?
I don't remember.
I just thought I was making jokes.
Yeah. Returning to office.
Oh, returning to office. Yeah, so we had like this little initiative where we tried that, and like for 1 week people came into the office. I've never seen the office so busy in my life. It was like every seat was taken. And then after that, we're like, our company was like, this isn't working.
This isn't working. They're less productive when they're in the same room.
Everyone's complaining. We don't have seats.
People would rather be at home. That's so strange.
Yeah, instead of driving 40 minutes in the office.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Give me a picture of your office space. So if you are in the office,
let me find you a picture.
Well, paint the picture for our audience, for the listener. All right, for the listener, for both of them. Explain what your I picture. I've never had an office job myself, so when I think of like office job, corporate America, I literally think of The Office, the TV show.
Just like
and so that is my impression of
office.
corporate America. So, how close is it to that? And if it's different, can you describe it to me?
It is not as bleak
Okay.
as The Office.
Okay.
It's cool. It's so we work in tech, so they try to make it cool, like you see on like TV shows or whatever. There's a golf simulator.
There we go. Okay, I was gonna guess
Um,
pinball machine, but off the golf simulator.
Yeah, that'd be too. We do have a foosball
Okay.
in
Yeah.
our office, but no one plays it.
Too loud.
It'd be criminal
Yeah.
to play that while people are trying to work. But it's cool. There's like a kitchen. You get free snacks, free drinks. They keep it loaded with Celsius, Diet Coke.
The working man's energy
Coke.
drink.
Exactly. It's like, the main office. I told you about that. There's like all these cool coffee machines and like
Where is that at?
cold brew taps and like cool stuff like
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Like the draft, like cold
Yeah,
brew.
the draft cold brew.
That's pretty cool. Where is that at? Where they
That's in
headquartered?
Chicago, the headquarters.
Chicago.
So
Okay.
they got all the cool stuff. They have the golf simulator.
Okay.
The golf simulator also has like this nice big bar in it, so you can like go drink.
Nice.
If that's what you're into for all the
Yeah.
happy hours that we do.
Sure,
Right.
yeah.
What else do they got? There's some fun stuff. It's not as serious as like The Office.
Yeah, a paper
The show.
company in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, like people like it's pretty casual dress codes.
Okay.
Pretty like chill lifestyle. I mean, you don't really like there's these like pods and like cool rooms you can go to for some quiet, and then you can sit at your desk if you want to, but it can be hard if everyone's like in meetings and stuff.
So you're working off of laptops then, if you can be so mobile? Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
primarily off laptops.
Mac or Windows?
I'm a Mac guy.
Okay. Is that a thing that you can choose?
Yeah, you get to
Oh.
choose if you want Mac or Windows. Pretty much every company will let you pick what you prefer. There are some small differences.
Advantages in terms of what you do on a Mac?
Maybe there's like some syntax difference between like PC and Mac. Nothing crazy.
Explain that to me.
I can't. Next question. Pass.
You can't or you won't?
I won't.
Okay. All right.
It's not even. It's nothing enough to even mention. It's
Okay.
really just matter of preference.
Okay.
Dude, this fly is killing us.
I know. There is.
It's on
For the
here.
listener, is it on me? There's a fly in this room that it's not going to leave. So he's just hanging out with us while we podcast here. Okay. So let's get, now that we've got that covered, let's get into
What
the,
covered?
into the, into the meat of what,
the meat.
of what we're here for. So, first, let's start with your specific major and minor responsibilities. So when you clock in on Monday through Friday, what is it that you're expected to get done? And then what are the things where it's like if you have time that you should be doing?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, we have that kind of daily stand up. So that's where I'll like run by the team what I'm going to work on this week. I kind of have a little bit of liberty. I've got some tasks I need to get done. So like in my current project, we're migrating 30 different applications for this company into the cloud.
And are those proprietary to that company?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm in charge. So for this project, I'm in charge of about 10 of those.
Okay.
So throughout the next 6 months, I need to make sure all 10 of mine get done, get finished. There's some things I have to do specifically for each of them. We have some dates, some target dates, migration dates for when we need to get these done. I'm under attack.
Just took a shot, yeah.
And so we kind of have a rough outline of the migration activities, kind of boilerplate stuff for each application. Nothing too specific, of kind of like a checklist per application that we need to do. And so I'll kind of run through that for each one. And I have my dates. So when I have a migration coming up in 2 weeks, I'll make sure to go through each of that checklist the 2 weeks before. I'm dying out here.
It's tough. Note to self: put a fly trap in the studio, right in the middle.
So yeah, I have like a basic checklist of all the items I need to get done per migration, per week, and I'm just kind of running through that, making sure everything's done. meeting with clients, making sure all their needs get met, making sure there's nothing we didn't miss or anything like that going on. It's hard to say exactly because it varies so much between the applications and between the projects. Everything is so new every time. It's hard to tell you exactly like, hey, this is what I'm doing every day. Just with the nature of the project.
Everything is bespoke to whatever they need of you.
Yeah.
So is there a lot of pre-prep that these companies have to do before they hire you, where they can come in and say, this is exactly what we need? Or is there like, they hire you and then there's some fact finding that happens?
There's a lot of fact finding.
Love that buzzword. That's a good buzzword. Fact finding.
So watch out. This is gonna be the best one yet. We're dying. So my mind is so rattled.
This why's killing me, dude.
So yeah, this company, it's a very large company. They had a divestiture. So part of the company was being removed from the parent company.
Okay.
So they had to get all their stuff and get out, right? Mm-hmm. So they needed to move it to the cloud because the parent company would no longer be able to support them.
Okay.
And so with that timeline, they pretty much had to go to another cloud provider. You don't have time to set up a on-premises database and all that stuff. So we're moving all their stuff. It's actually from one cloud to another, from AWS to Azure, which isn't as common.
Does that make your job easier or harder?
I think it makes it
or the same. It's just your job.
It probably makes it easier.
Okay.
I actually haven't done a lot of on-prem to cloud.
Okay.
I've done more cloud to cloud.
Oh, okay.
So it's hard for me to say
sure
what makes it easier, but so yeah, so they had about like a 1 year timeline of we needed to like get everything out because you're no longer part of the company. So we had to make a pitch on why they would use us. They had like 4 or 5 other companies lined up. They chose us. We were pretty late in the game. But they liked our pitch so much they went with us. It was a pretty big deal for us.
And that's, I'm assuming, a sales division that handles all that.
Okay. Yeah, so there's like this pre-sales, sales. I'm not as familiar with that process, but it'll go through those guys. They'll make sure like, hey, yeah, we can do this. And then it'll get to some of our actual people who scope out projects. Will get involved in the pitch, and we'll start to put together like what our game plan will be, like how are we going to get you there, like what's the roadmap we're going to do, what's our process is going to do, pitch it to them, make sure that they like it. If they do, they'll sign what's called like a statement of work.
Okay.
That's like the big thing you need to get signed because that's like money.
Yeah. Like
we
are hiring you to do this thing.
Yep. You're hired.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
So get that signed, and then it's just like off to the races. So yeah, we did a lot of discovery work of what they had currently, how it would map to the other cloud, right? Because everything's a little bit different. Everyone does things a different way, but for the most part, all the clouds offer the same services, just a little bit of a different flavor.
Okay.
So it can be kind of tedious because sometimes they'll do things a little bit different and won't have that one-to-one pairing. But for the most part, everything's the same. So yeah, we'll scope out all the applications. Like we need to move 30 of them, like I said. What it looks like in their current environment, what it'll look like in the future, what are the steps we'll need for each of those individual pieces, because there's some differences between different services on some of the steps you need to take.
Okay. So your job is really pretty on task. Like there's nothing where it's like, oh, I don't have anything to do today. I should check off XYZ. It's like you're on a project or you're not.
Yeah.
Okay. And do they supply you with a project at all times? What are you expected to do if you're between projects? Like go on vacation, or like what are they?
You could. No, I spend a lot of time if I'm not on projects, getting more certifications.
Okay.
Helping out with like community projects or like internal projects that our company works on that are non-billable, like not for clients, but we still like have communities and groups to stay active and learn things and do stuff.
Yep.
So there's a lot to do if you're not on the project, as well as like advocating for yourself to get on a project, reach out to people who may need help, see if you can get staffed on something you're interested in. Yeah.
All right. So in as best you can, from your expertise to my like ignorance, walk me through. You said like you're tasked with moving 10 applications from their cloud to the next cloud. Walk me through that. Like take me through moving one application to the next. Tell me about the systems that you use to do that, and then just kind of paint the picture for me of what that looks like.
Yeah. So the first step, it's discovery work. What is their current setup? So like they went from AWS to Azure. So discovery work of what services do they have built in AWS. Let's say like my first one that I did for this client, it was just a single database. So they had a single database server running in AWS. I would go look at the mapping of what's the equivalent to that in Azure. I would make what's called like an architecture diagram, which is just showing essentially like this is
it just got me in the nose.
Yeah, it's hard to look at.
You're getting assaulted by
so we would create like architecture diagrams, which essentially is just like a diagram showing the architecture.
No kidding.
So just like a diagram of what that database looks like, some of the dependencies on that database, like IPs and stuff like that that'll be used, some of the other supporting services in Azure. It's kind of hard to explain it in more detail than that, but essentially just showing what services you're going to build for that new environment.
And that's is it just like a Google Doc where you just like create a diagram and you type it up and you're sending that to your superior?
Like Lucidchart and
okay.
like Draw.io.
Okay.
They're these diagram softwares that come prepackaged with like every AWS, Azure, Google Cloud logo of the individual services. That way you can...
Makes it easy.
It makes it super easy. You have all the little icons and you can make it real pretty and nice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll make that. We'll go through like a application migration review of the architecture diagram, get the approval for it.
From the company or from internal?
From them and from internal. So we'll have like a lead on the project who will like say, yep, that's good.
That's a good diagram.
Yeah, it's pretty easy in this like one example where it's just one database. It's like, yeah, that's it.
That's one database there, and there it is again over there.
Yeah. But when you get into more complex like architectures with like multiple databases, multiple like virtual machines or servers running, it can get a little more complex, and you would need to lean on some people more specialized in that and make sure everything looks good. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll get some reviews, make sure everything looks good, and then you're just kind of in it. You'll go build the infrastructure. You can like log into their account that they've provisioned, go build that database.
And is that just like monotonous? Like, oh, they have this folder in their database, so I need to create a new folder in the new database, name it. Just a lot of that.
Well, so you have to create the database itself.
Okay.
And then once you're in that database, you have to create the server. Sorry. And then once you're in the server, you create the database. That's kind of like the hierarchy of how these databases work that hold data. So you'll create the server, go in, create the database for how many databases they need. And then you can run some like import jobs to migrate all that data from their environment to the new one.
And that's coding. That's you like command prompt doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's some tools. I don't do that as much. Like we have some other people on the project who are more in that lane of like actually migrating the data of the database. I'm more just like set up the infrastructure. So I'll build the server, build the databases. Other people will come in, migrate that data. Or in some cases, the actual like application team will make that transfer and we won't even touch that at all.
Okay.
We're just setting up the infrastructure.
And is that all just done within the UI of Azure? Like it just has tools built in to create whatever they need created, and you just do that inside of Azure?
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that process, but there are some tools. What's the main one? I think it's called like Database Explorer or something like that.
Yeah, like
something that sounds like exactly
on the nose.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It does. Or it's called like Azure Migrate, I think.
Oh, yeah.
A tool for
if you need
migrating
okay.
your data.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different ones. Databricks, maybe. I think that's what the other tool is called. I haven't used those. Like I said, I primarily set up the infrastructure. And there's some cool ways to do that. We mostly use like Terraform, which is like coding.
Okay.
That's a word.
Yeah.
So that refers to infrastructure as code.
Okay.
So like I said, you can go log in to their portal at like azure.com, sign into a client account, and you can click through and just create the database. Or you can write code like in the terminal, right? The infrastructure as code, which is the preferred method of doing it. That way you can maintain it through that code. You can have some different checks and scans go through that, make sure everything's nice and people aren't just clicking through willy-nilly, breaking things, right? You want a sophisticated way of doing things through certain pipelines. It gets pretty confusing pretty fast with like best practices, and it'd be pretty hard to explain it just like talking to you without like actually showing some work, like how it actually works. But that's the gist. So I'll type out all the code, write it up, run it, and then it'll go and it'll set up the database, set up the server.
So then you can log in and you're like, oh, that's the thing that I just wrote. It's right there.
Exactly.
Nice.
Like that.
That's cool. Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It
makes you feel like you're like really hacking the planet.
Yeah.
Like
and when it doesn't work that way, you're like, screw this. I'll just
the old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way. No, that's like actually how you do things, because this client, they have a very particular way that they run the Terraform code through what's called like DevOps pipelines. Confusing stuff. It's like magic to me. Wizardry.
Somebody knows how it works.
Someone knows. I know. Yeah. No, there's one guy on their entire team. He's the only one who knows how it works.
Really?
So it's a pain because he lives in Spain. If we ever have problems, he's out for the day.
Brutal.
Spaniards, like, they're done at like noon.
Plus time zones are just like they're never on when you're on.
Exactly. So we have like a 6 to like 8 a.m. window to like hit them, like fix all our problems. Why isn't this working? So yeah, there are some challenges with that infrastructure as code through the pipeline. Through to the actual portal. So sometimes you gotta do it the old-fashioned way.
And that's common practice. Just like, okay, interesting. So take me through just like a Monday to Friday. Is every day the same, or is there like more structure to your week?
Every day is the same.
Every day is the same.
I've got my dates.
7 meetings, check-ins.
So like daily stand-ups, same time every day. My all-team stand-ups, same time every day. I start work at the same time every day. I end work at the same time every day. And I've got my migration dates, like my deadlines, my windows I got to hit. And I'm just making sure I go through all my check boxes, making sure everything's good.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stability there, a lot of cleanliness to, what to expect every day. It's, it's not like you're walking in, I wonder what's going to happen today. as far as I understand.
Sometimes things are crazy. Like this week it was horrible.
Okay. Well, that's my next question. Actually, I'm going to have you walk me through a nightmare day.
Okay.
So give me a nightmare scenario.
We had 3 nightmare days this week.
Okay.
So buckle up.
I'm ready.
Okay. So Monday, we all log in, right?
Uh-huh.
The one guy who controls everything that I was talking about, he controls the pipelines.
Uh-huh.
He had accidentally revoked our access
Awesome.
to everything
While
giving a new member on our team access.
Awesome.
He just like somehow, don't know how. This is a big problem because like imagine if serious stuff was happening. But imagine if something more serious was happening and everyone lost access and there's one single point of failure
on the other side of the planet.
On the other side of the planet in Spain, who doesn't pick up his phone. Huge security concern.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that happened. So it's actually good that stuff like this happens because you can highlight it to like the organization, make recommendations on.
We need a plan if X scenario happens again.
Exactly. So he accidentally revoked everyone's access. We don't find out till like Monday at 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we email him like, hey, we all lost access. There's no work we can do because all of our like Terraform we need to run goes through the pipelines into their account through that access. So without that access, we can't do anything.
Yeah, you're blocked.
So email him. He gets back to us when he wakes up, which is like 2 a.m. our time, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, midnight our time.
Yeah, I guess I can look up.
You can look up the time zone difference.
Yeah. Jamie, look up Spain.
Dude, what
time is it in Spain?
You were supposed to. I was going to make a Jamie joke. Hey, Jamie, what time is it in Spain? So we wake up.
So we're recording this at 7:46 p.m. It is 3:46 in Spain. So
all right, so look up
quick math. That's 7 hours.
7 hour
ahead.
Difference. Okay.
It's tomorrow in Spain.
Ahead?
Yeah, they're in the future.
Oh. Gotcha.
Got me.
So Tuesday, we get access. I don't even know. I'm trying to remember how it happened, but they gave us access. So Monday, I had told my clients on my application, I was like, I'm so sorry, I just lost access. I'll update you tomorrow on my progress because I had some deadlines I got to hit.
Yeah.
Some stuff I need to get done. Tuesday morning, we all wake up with access. And I talked to my application team, and I was like, this is awesome. Got access. I'm going to work right away on this.
Yeah.
45 minutes later, we all lose access again. They took it back.
They gave you timed access.
No. They like, someone had fixed there's actually 2 guys who could fix the problem, but they weren't really talking to each other.
Okay. Was the other guy also in Spain?
He's somewhere Europe.
Okay.
Or maybe India. So he had fixed it. He didn't talk to the other guy. And so the other guy had like a different way he wanted to fix it.
Uh-huh.
And so then he like overrode the first guy's fix, but he fixed it in a way that didn't work. So we like confirmed access. He broke it again. And now we're like unconfirmed access. And so
you're emailing the clients again.
So then I go back to my clients. Remember when I said I was good? Like, I'm actually not anymore. So sorry. So we email them, hey, quit messing with us.
Yeah.
Like, fix this.
Fix this.
So then Wednesday morning, we're like, hey, fix access. They half fixed it, but didn't give us like all the permissions we needed. So like we checked and did some stuff. We're like, all right, this is fine. But as we got later in the day, we need to do more stuff. We're like, wait.
It's like you have a hand tied behind your back.
You didn't finish all of it. But by the time we figured it out, it was too late. He's gone. So then, like, I talked to my clients again, like, hey, I'm good. And then I wasn't.
I did most of the work that you needed me to do.
I did do most of the work. So I found out, like, everything I needed to get done just once I could have the access to do it.
Got the rest of your access.
I was like, I promise.
So no access, no access, some access.
Exactly. You can see the security risk with the miscommunication.
Yes.
And the time zone thing, like we don't have a counterpart in US from their side.
Okay.
Who can solve these issues for us and we can rely on in case something happens. Like that's another security risk. Yeah. because all these applications we're moving are American only, like servers and whatnot. And so having a team managing them in a completely different time zone where the application teams are in a different time zone, it's like,
There's a lot of crossed wires.
it's not best if something goes wrong and then you can't access someone for 8 hours. It's like
Everything's on a delay.
a very
Long delay, agonizing delay.
So then Thursday was terrible because I was now 3 days behind. So I worked like a 12-hour day, getting everything done. I did get everything done.
Attaboy.
Because I knew exactly what I needed to do for the first 3
very
days.
clear
and
list of
staring
this
at
is
what I
all
needed.
I didn't do the last 3 days.
So yeah, that was that. Nightmare week.
Nightmare week. Okay, well then, other side of that coin, what is like a perfect day, perfect week look like? Like everything just worked. What does that look like for you?
Like today might have been a perfect day.
Yeah?
Because like yesterday I was doing everything. Had all my major blockers, major roadblocks done. Nothing very time concerning done. Or nothing time, I don't know.
Sensitive?
Time sensitive
Yeah.
to do. Like I had accomplished it all, and so now I could focus more on some future tasks that were kind of like lower priority. The simple work, kind of like the first steps to the next applications, just kind of mapping what that looks like. Less stressful, not as time sensitive. It was more chill today than it was yesterday when I had to like go. Let's get all this done. We're so far behind.
Yeah. And okay, so I wanna be careful how I phrase this. What then is the ratio of like good days to like fire brigade days? 'Cause I don't want to say bad days because anybody's work situation, if there's more bad days than good days, then that means it's not a job that you need to be in. But like some people like a job where it's like, oh my gosh, everything is falling apart. I have to fix this every day. You know, so that works for some people, not for others. So just give me the ratio of like today was chill versus this was a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it depends who you ask.
Okay.
There's people on our project who it's like they deal with stuff where every day is the dumpster fire, nightmare finding out some hidden information through some discovery of, hey, this won't work at all, but we're like a month in.
Yeah.
Some kind of situation like that, or it's like no one told us all this crap, or clients are like coming back and messing things up. So today we went like, or this week it was like 3 for 5 on bad days. That's not normal, right?
That's what I'm asking. What's normal? Like, what's if I looked over like a 3 or 6 month period, what's like the ratio?
I'll say 1 bad day a week.
Dang. Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard. It's like something badass that I don't know.
Sure. Okay.
I'm a chill guy.
Yeah, low key, just a chill guy.
Low-key just a chill guy.
All right, awesome. Well, I don't have any more questions about your job. I do have a bonus question that I like to ask at the end of every one of these interviews.
Wait, we're not done, are we?
We're done. Let's keep
it going.
Is there more that you want to talk about your job? What do
Yes.
people need to know about the tech sector?
If you're starting now, you're too late.
Oh.
No, just kidding. You just always need to be learning, always upskilling, being like up to date with the newest technologies, right? That's probably the best advice for people getting in. There is always a need for like older stuff, but it's good to always be curious and passionate about always learning. Like as a consultant, you just need to always be learning new technologies. There's like a saying like just being like 5 minutes ahead of the client.
Okay.
Just knowing 5 minutes like more than they do, like even if you don't know everything, like just a little bit more than like your clients do, or like a little more up to date, and being able to speak to things at a high level, and then like go in and diving into the details and learning as much as you can as quickly as you can. That's kind of like the secret, I guess, because you can never know everything, especially with like the cloud. There's so many different things and avenues, and people specialize in networking, security, data, and there's just like infinite things you can learn. And
there's like really broad similarities, but the truth of it is that every one of these jobs is going to be so different.
Yeah. So it can be hard. It can be really hard to get started because there's so much. You're like, what on earth do I do? And I think that's where a lot of like new people struggle. They say like imposter syndrome or something like that, where like you're just getting started, you feel like you know nothing. It's probably because you do know like nothing,
almost nothing. Yeah.
But you just need to like have a different mindset of like I don't know a lot, but like I can learn really quickly about these things, and that's that like staying ahead of like the client and like always being adaptable to change and learning new things. That's kind of like the secret sauce.
Okay. Yeah. So what keeps you raising the bar?
Yeah, raising the bar. It's definitely not too late to get into tech. It can be challenging there's a lot of people that want to get into tech.
It seems like the job market's so volatile. It's like one week something comes out and it's like we need to hire 10,000 people for this thing that just hit the mainstream, and then the next month it's like, well, that business failed, so now we have to lay off 20,000 people.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of cool like tools that people will use and learn and incorporate a lot into their like products, and then a little bit down the road no one's using that tool anymore,
right?
And so it's like if you're just stuck in one thing, it's like no one could be using that in the next 10 years,
and then your job's obsolete.
But if you're always learning like what's new, what's hot, what do people want, what do companies want, clients want, right? Like making yourself valuable, like then you'll always be good. If you have that kind of mindset, like a growth mindset. So
let me ask you this actually before I get to the bonus question. So what's one encouragement that you could give someone interested in your specific field? So call it cloud engineering. So someone's like, oh, maybe interested in that. What would you tell them to kind of like sell it? Like, this is why you should get into cloud engineering, and then follow that up with a warning. So give me the good with the bad. Like, oh, if you want to get into cloud engineering, let me tell you.
I mean, like I said, like it is good. Like there are so many different things you can do with it. That, I mean, you would never be bored if you're just trying to learn new things all the time. Like there's a lot to learn. Especially like I'm kind of specialized in the one cloud. You can get into multiple clouds because there's a lot of companies that use multiple clouds. Some services from one, some services from another. And
why should somebody get into cloud engineering? What's the draw?
I mean, like any tech job, like the pay's good.
Okay.
Work-life balance is good. Like working from home is good. I've got an awesome team. Really nice people. I love working with them. Really good friends. So I think,
I hear work-life balance, and that's such an uncommon pro in so many fields. And I feel like especially if we think tech, work-life balance is maybe one of the last things that we think exists. So hearing that's kind of encouraging, I think, for someone considering it. Now I know that.
Well, from like you can work from home perspective, sure. Like I can be home with my wife every day and my dogs. Can you put a price on that?
No, we don't deserve them. We don't deserve dogs. If you're around them, then shoot.
So yeah, just I really like working from home.
Yeah.
If you like working from home,
that's the draw.
This is the draw.
Okay. Well, then follow that up with like, what's a warning? What if someone was, and I'm not talking like, I don't want you to bash your company, but think of like the field, think of the work that you do. If someone was like, oh yeah, cloud engineering sounds cool, I think I'll go into that. What would you tell them to be like, you need to think about that long and hard before you pursue that?
I think my typical warning is just like mess around with it, do some like basic projects. Like there's like fun tutorials you can do online. Make sure you like it first before you do it, right? Because everything's going to be a little different. I would say just like before you dive in and say like I'm committed to this, try it out first. See if you actually enjoy doing it. Because if you don't actually enjoy it, it's not going to be fun. You're not going to have more fun.
If you don't enjoy it, then you won't find any enjoyment while you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
if you drop something, it falls.
Yeah, it sounds stupid, but I think a lot of people get caught out like, oh, I just want to work in tech no matter what.
Tech is hot. I'm going to go.
Tech is hot. Like, I've heard you make a ton of money. Like, I'm in. But it's like, there's so many niches. Like, the work is different from like kind of software job to software job. I'd say just like try things out first, see if you actually like the work, and yeah.
Cool. Okay, so now my bonus question.
Bonus.
And this is to help people get a little perspective when they're thinking of the work that you do. I think it's helpful to have a modest understanding of you as a person. So I'll just ask you this question. What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Oh.
What drives you?
From like a spiritual perspective, or like
if that's the thing, I mean, just broadly speaking, why do you get up and do it every day?
I've got bills. I've got your bill. I do have a mortgage.
Okay.
On a house.
Yeah.
And if I did not have one, that would not. No. I like my job. I like the problem solving, the unique challenges every day. Keeps me sharp. It's good. Learn new things every day. So I guess that gets me out of bed.
Cool.
Maybe.
Yeah. No.
Is that a good enough?
That's fine. I just think like I said, I think it's helpful for people to know, like, I'm listening to this guy talk about his job. If we get to the end and you're like, oh, I literally just do it for money, that can kind of change someone's perspective of what you've said. You know what I mean? So I save that to the end so that we can hear the details and then kind of get.
I gotcha.
No, get a little view of you.
Yeah. So I've always liked working with like kind of like programming, like writing code, like messing around with computers and stuff like that. So I always kind of knew I wanted to do it as a career, because I kind of liked doing it as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And so just having that kind of enjoyment from what I do makes it nice.
Gets
me out of bed.
Gets you out of bed in the morning. That's what I'm saying. It's like, so you're doing the thing.
Because like if I wasn't doing it for work, I'd be like coding something for fun.
Right. Well, again, Thomas Johnson, software engineer, cloud engineer, consultant engineer. I don't know which of those titles makes the most sense. Probably all of them.
Whatever you want.
Probably all of them for what you do. I appreciate the time. And
next week we'll have a fly trap.
Next week will be a fly trap, so there'll be less distraction. And thank you for telling me about it. Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for asking me about it. Stop.